You're listening to the official Minnesota Wild podcast, presented by Acrisure.
From the ponds to the pros, it's time for Beyond the Pond on The Fan. Here are your hosts, Pat Micheletti and Kevin Falness.
Is there a nicer person on the planet than one Trent Tucker?
Nope.
Just a good dude. And it was nice of you not to just barge in on the end of their show this week. You let them do their full 2 hours.
I was thinking about it, but I think I got to keep Cinny guessing. I got to keep him guessing, and I don't want him. He's very gracious in putting up with me when I just barge in.
Yeah. I was watching him through the glass, and he was looking over his shoulder. Is he coming in? No, I can still talk my basketball.
Oh, by the way, thanks for you coming in.
What does that mean? You're the one that said you weren't. What does that mean?
Well, you were gone last week.
Yeah.
I wasn't gone. I was in St. Paul because I had another gig right afterwards.
I appreciate it.
You guys are the ones that are so scared by the weather people. You don't want to leave your house.
I don't.
He's worried about Sunday sermons literally 24 hours from now because it's going to snow a little.
I'm worried about the game I'm going to today at Lee and Penny Anderson Arena for the Tommies and the Vikings.
How good is that going to be?
It's going to be a very, very good game today.
Do they have special seating for you? Like, will you be doing a ceremonial puck drop? And they've got one of the hockey ambassadors in town.
No. But I tell you what, Tony Pasquizzi, who is their sports information director, has been tremendous in taking care of me today.
Okay.
For that game. So
awesome. Well, I want to get into that. We've got a great show already on the hopper.
Yeah,
and we'll do a lot of college hockey with the Schloss around 11:35. We'll get into.
I couldn't get him off the phone yesterday.
Oh yeah, I would 100% guarantee it was the other way around.
No, well
he's got busy stuff to do, and you're probably talking his ear off. I can't imagine it was the other way around.
Well, it's that time of the year.
It is that time of year,
and. So there was a lot to talk about.
So you guys did like a pre-show?
We did.
Okay, good.
We literally did. Yeah, we did.
Okay.
We literally did 2 segments on the phone yesterday.
Good.
I should have recorded it.
Lots of college hockey coming with him at 11:35. We've got basically a half hour of a recap of the boys' high school hockey tournament. 11 o'clock, the head coach of Moorhead. 11:10, the head coach at Warroad. And then Tony Scott with the weekly youth hockey hub. Just a fantastic tournament. I mean, start to finish, especially.
Was great. It was.
But semifinal Friday into the 2 championship games. I mean, I don't know. You couldn't ask for anything better.
Both classes were really good. I mean, 1 through 8, they were really good, and so good. It continues to get better and more depth and more skill, and every year. And so it was a fun tournament.
I called the single A tournament.
Yeah,
so
I listened to you.
I had a different vantage point for that one, but for the double A, I was in the stands for the first time since maybe the 80s for a double A championship game.
Why were you in that A game?
Why was I?
Why were you I want to say this the nice way.
Okay, here it comes.
Why were you against my Having Blue Jackets?
I was not even a little bit.
Oh, my God, you were biased. So go Warroad, go Warroad. I heard you in the back. Go Warroad, go. You and Danny.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah, go Warroad.
I can't even put into words how much. I didn't care who won that game. It was so much fun.
I'm kidding, people.
That was a fantastic game. And then I got a chance to watch the double A game in the stands for the first time, like I said, since the 80s. And when that thing got up to whatever it was, 4-1, Minnetonka was on top, it started to get a little sleepy, but then it switched like that quick, and then it was just a hockey game.
And I got to be 100% honest with you.
You gave up.
No, I fell asleep.
Oh, my gosh.
So you kind of gave up.
I watched the first period, and I was so tired, Kevin.
Yeah.
No wonder you're not doing the puck drop later. You can't stay up.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great game, a great weekend, a great tournament once again. Maybe we say this every year, but man, the drama and the intrigue, especially from Friday on, was fantastic in both classes.
How did Halvey get through?
He was struggling. I mean, he called a great game. He does such a wonderful job, and I know it kills him to go through that and finally get to the
flu, or was it a cold? Or
I don't know. He couldn't shake it. I mean, believe me, I was in contact with him because I didn't bone up at all on the AA, and I was worried that I was going to get thrown into it.
Were you at the game?
I was.
So you couldn't.
I could have, but that's what I told him. I said at noon. I said,
if he would have dropped out,
100%.
You were there. Yeah.
Yes, but the problem is, like I told him at noon, like, I'm going to happy hour. So if you need me, I need to know now. Because I'm going to be, whatever condition I'm going to be in, it's not going to be ready to call a hockey game at 7 o'clock unless you tell me now. And he says, nope, it's my once in a year deal. I'm going to push through it.
Can I tell you one story? One silver lining for Hibbing.
Sure.
And what this tournament means to people.
Yeah.
Hibbing brought a huge contingent of people down here.
I believe it.
Basically the whole town.
Yep.
But what else it did, and, my brother Joe was in town for something different, for the Gophers, his team being honored.
Yeah.
Okay.
76, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But the number of players from the last state tournament team of 1973, of which Joe was on, there were like 10 to 15 of them that were there, and they all reunited. And all these people reuniting, I wish I would have, been able to go to the game.
Yeah.
We did the show and whatever, and poor me, I was tired.
Yeah.
But that's that, so this tournament is more than just hockey, is my point.
Oh, for sure.
And Warroad can say the same thing, and so can Moorhead of all their championship teams, and everybody, and people you haven't seen in 30, 40 years, and it's it really, that is the tournament to me, and that's great.
There's no doubt. There's something special about that tournament, and we get the reminder each and every year. We'll get to relive it a little bit at 11 o'clock with the head coach for both the AA and the single A champs. About 10:35, I'm really looking forward to this. Your buddy Kenny Albert's going to join us, the voice of everything. But the Rangers are in town. Wild have the Rangers tonight, 4:45 pregame right here on the Fan. The Rangers are not having a great year, but
they will
what
not
a run
make
for
the playoffs.
They won't.
They might get there, but they've been playing better.
Yeah.
And so they've
won 3 in a row.
And they may lose out on Gavin McKenna now.
Wouldn't that be a kick in the nose?
Yeah, it would.
But it hasn't been a great year for the Rangers, but what a year it's been for Kenny Albert. What a run it's been for Kenny Albert. He's calling everything. And he does such a great job at everything.
He calls basketball. He calls the NFL.
Called the Super Bowl. Called the Olympics.
He did call this.
Yes. And then he was on his way
for Westwood One, or for who?
We'll have to ask him. I mean, he's doing everything. He's
Armed Forces. He could have been on the Armed Forces, too.
He's unbelievable, and it'll be so much fun to catch up with him. Again, he's in town, and we'll talk to him about 10:35. Before we go and move forward, I did want to talk about your Golden Gophers. Unfortunately, their season came to an end Wednesday against Penn State. What were your takeaways from the 6-2 loss to the Nittany Lions?
Well, it's not so much that game as the whole season.
The season and culmination.
It was such a strange year. You look at their resume. They beat Michigan State. They beat Michigan. They beat North Dakota. They beat Denver. All teams that will be 1, 2, or 3 seeds in the tournament. But you can't look at one game and say, okay, we beat them. Well, big deal. The inability to be consistent, the inability to score goals. I've never seen a Gopher team that averaged under 3 goals a game. I'd have to go back and check. They did. And early in the year, they were horrific defensively and gave up a ton of goals. Now, look at it. You want to look at something that is your baseline for next year. It's their goaltending. Luca DePasquale is coming back.
That's great news.
And he is, to me, one of the top 5 in college hockey right now. And so that's good. But, it just it didn't what they say, you just didn't have enough horses.
So where do they go from here?
The horses that they have are young. I think they're, in college hockey, and like all sports in college now, you can go from where you were to a completely different level in 1 year. We'll see what the offseason brings. How much they hit the portal. I think they need to hit the portal. They need an offensive defenseman, something that they didn't have. You don't win in college hockey without one, maybe two offensive defensemen. You just don't.
Yep.
Every great team, every team that has a chance at winning it this year has a top-flight offensive defenseman. And if you don't have it, argue with me till I'm blue in the face, you will not win a national championship. You just won't. And so they need to they need to address that area, and they need to get better up the middle, and we'll see if they do. So
we knew that it was going to be a down season considering who was lost from the roster last year into this year, but you didn't see 11, 22, and 3 coming.
I did not. I did not. But maybe I was fooled a little bit by it, to thinking that, because you like all the play, I like all the young players that they have in that freshman class. I really do. And you look at them and you look at what they're bringing in, and then you forget for a moment that you're jumping into a new league, and it's a tough league, the Big Ten, like any other league any league in college hockey. Any step from where you were into college is a tough step for a young kid, and it takes time. And so, yes, you bury this season and you move forward.
Before we go to break, let's salute the 5 seniors in particular. 2 of them have already signed entry-level deals.
I wonder if Brody Lamb is in the lineup tonight for the Rangers.
That's a good question. He signs with the New York Rangers. Luke Mittelstadt signs with the Montreal Canadiens.
Yes.
He is in the lineup?
I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. They did have.
I know Luke is going to Laval, their American League team. He told me that the morning we came back from Pennsylvania State.
Yep.
Is it? Yeah, we can call it Pennsylvania State.
Sure.
Okay.
Penn State. Yeah.
College Station.
No. Happy Valley.
Yeah.
University Park.
Yeah. College something.
Regardless, what are you going to take away from? Let's go right down the list of 5 guys. Give me your best 10, 20 seconds on each of them, starting with Brody Lamb off to the Rangers.
You know what? He got better each year. He came in early. Really, I wish he could have had another year because I think he would have blown it away next year. But he's gotten bigger. He's gotten stronger. He can skate. I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be a good pro. And he had to muster a lot this year. And so I love the kid. He's just a great kid.
How about Luke Mittelstadt?
Take him on my team any day of the week, and 100 times more. No one. I don't think I've ever seen anyone compete harder in his 4 years at Minnesota than Luke Mittelstadt.
Real quick, sources tell me Lamb will be with the Hartford Wolfpack of the AHL for the rest of the season. I will believe this source because it's the great Randy Johnson of Star Tribune. If he's saying it, it must be true.
Okay.
So that's that.
I know he signed and I didn't know what their plan was.
Yep. How about defenseman Cal Thomas?
I think he's going to have a great career, and I think he will. He just eats pucks. He's big. He's not fancy. I just think he'll be with Columbus at some point after some time in the American League. And he'll be that number 5, number 6 D that will play 10 years in the league.
John Mittelstadt.
He's going to retire. And another one, who's the battle between Luke and him for most competitiveness. And, just do anything for the team. Great kid, again. Wish him well. And
one of the coolest stories from the closing weekend on senior night, you got to see Zach Reese for the first time. Is it Weiss? Weiss.
Yeah.
And that was a cool one. We talked about that. Cool kid, cool story.
Yeah, his T-shirt that, he's dressed for 150 straight games. Can you imagine that? knowing you're not going to play, showing up every day, taking bullets, shots from your team, staying late after practice, going on early, great teammate. You want to talk about a guy with tears going down his, down his cheek after the loss. It's just wonderful kid. Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful kid.
Salute to each of those 5 Gopher seniors. The season is done for the Golden Gopher hockey team. Quick question from the text line, 64686 from Michael in the 612 area code. When are the Cullens coming? We know that they said that
Wyatt Cullen and his brother, I believe his brother also is coming. They're coming next year.
Okay, so that's an influx of talent.
Wyatt is I don't think it's his draft year.
Okay.
He's going to go in the top 10 either this year or next year. I don't know if it's this year or the following year, but he is a unbelievable talent.
Outstanding. Well, that's good news for everybody involved, including Bob Motzko, as they try to short things up.
And they got the leading scorer from the Ontario League that's already committed, who was actually 2 years ago was at Michigan.
Oh, good.
And he was young, got 7th round pick of the Avs. Left and went back to the Ontario League, has been there, and now is coming in as a 20-year-old freshman.
Good. All right.
Leads the league in scoring.
That's good news because I think everybody, including Bob Motzko, including you and anyone else that watched this team for any length of time, want to put this season behind them as soon as possible, get on to next year, and hope springs eternal. You know what else springs eternal? We got Kenny Albert coming up at the bottom. They are super looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Maybe not as looking forward to as Brett Blakemore's breakaways, but that'll still be fun. We'll do that after the break.
He's a Bundesliga guy. Ask him what he is.
What are you, Brett?
I'm a hockey guy.
He's a hockey guy.
He's a hockey guy. Is that what he said to Dan yesterday?
Yeah. I told it.
Funny, I heard from both of you about that.
Did you?
Yeah. Wow.
Of course. All right. Well, he's still.
Is that not a Count Dracula? No.
Oh yeah. Count Chocula versus Captain Crunch.
What was it, Brett?
Who won that fight between the Battle of the Mascots?
Let's go to breakaways.
We'll go to breakaways next on The Fan.
This is Kevin Gorg, and I'll give you hundreds of reasons to listen to Micheletti.
Whoa.
Hundreds. It's Beyond the Pond on The Fan.
Minnesota Wild, New York Rangers tonight at 5 on the audio home for Wild Hockey. FM 100.3 KFAN, The Fan.
Not sure how he's had time to put together Brett Blakemore's breakaway since he's getting ready for the blizzard that's on the way in the next 24 hours.
He's a hockey guy.
Not the way he's complaining. He sounds like a soccer guy right now. The way he's complaining about the weather. What do you got up your tattered little sleeve there, Brett Blakemore, for Brett Blakemore's breakaways?
It's time for Brett Blakemore's breakaway.
Here's a break. Kaprizov in alone. Nobody going to catch him. Kaprizov score!
There could be a meteor hitting the cities, and they'd be like, how'd you not get to sermons?
And now,
Unbelievable. I do have stuff for you, though.
Well, good. I would hope so. That's the gig here. Basically, we're killing time till we get to Kenny Albert, so make it worth our while.
I saw this. This is right on the top of my list. This is number one target if I'm Bill Guerin. But I saw this from Elliot Friedman, who's been on the show, on his 32 Thoughts podcast.
Yep.
Here's the quote. Quote, I was talking to somebody today, an executive in the league, and he's like, listening to Bill Guerin do interviews about how great Austin Matthews is, he's like, Minnesota, why don't you just put up a neon sign outside your building that says, come here, Austin, Quinn is waiting for you. That's Elliot Friedman.
Yeah.
He's getting booed out of his own building. The Toronto media are done with him. He probably doesn't want to be there any longer.
And now his season's done.
His season's done, and the Leafs season is essentially done.
What'd you think of that hit, Patrick? Radko Gudas drove his knee right into him and ended his season.
Awful.
We don't get to see him Sunday.
No, and I had given Gudas the benefit of the doubt in the Olympics.
Yeah.
With the Crosby.
Yep.
But this one was far, far worse.
5-game suspension. Yeah. The agent for Austin Matthews calls it laughable. Not happy at all. And, yeah, that's too bad.
So what's your question, Brett?
Is this a real possibility, do you think? And this is a sign from Elliot Friedman. There really isn't a question. I'm just bringing it up that people around the league are starting to talk about Austin Matthews to Minnesota. It's not just this crazy, how he couldn't dare think of that.
Can I ask you a question, Brett?
Right, sure. Would you trade Brock Faber for Austin Matthews?
No. Who would you rather have? Austin Matthews or Quinn's brother?
We've seen the power of. Well, we'll find out if the power.
That is a question, though.
It is a good one. The power of brotherly love will be tested this playoffs with the Felinos.
It would be so much fun to have Jack Hughes.
Yeah, but here's
the problem is he's not very durable.
Well, here's the thing: he can't play center for 80 games. That's where he gets hurt.
Yeah.
You'd have to play him on the wing. So your number one. Ooh, we need a number one center.
Which we absolutely do. That's not air quotes.
Well, so what's your answer? Would you rather have Jack or Austin?
Answer my question.
I would go Austin. I think he's
more durable?
Well, it's hard to say more durable when he's out, but that was a dirty hit. That's not, just bumps and bruises or a tummy ache. So
yeah, you get a 60 goal scorer, but also a playmaker. Yeah, I think Austin Matthews has been really overly criticized. I don't understand.
Because of where he's at. I mean, the same thing with Marner, driven out of town, and Nylander doesn't get any free passes either. You're in the mecca of criticism. Especially when you don't succeed, and they haven't. Unfortunately for them, they're kind of in the. Do I get in trouble for saying this? In the same boat as the Wild, they haven't made it out of the first round in how long?
No, why would you? Well, the only way I don't know why you get in trouble. You're just
it's stating a fact, but it's kind of the same deal. I mean, even worse than that is Buffalo, and that's why it's so much fun to watch them be resurgent these days. But yeah, it's a tough deal there in Toronto, especially if you're not getting results.
Continue, Brett.
You did say something incorrect. You called Toronto the mecca of criticism. That's actually this chair during Brett Blakemore's breakaway.
Oh, you poor thing. Look at you.
How would you grade? We've had 3 or 4 games with the new guys since the trade deadline.
I was hoping for a question like this.
How would you grade the new guys coming into this squad?
I'll let you go, and then because I've got a long answer.
Yeah, well, I'm excited, very excited about Nick Foligno. I'm excited about McCarron, and I'm excited about who's the other guy? Bobby Brink. When he's healthy, I'm excited about what he can do. Whether it's in the top 6, whether it's in the bottom 6, I'm excited about those 3 guys in particular. The jury's still out on Fabry, who you gave up nothing to get him. Same thing with Jeff Petrie. To be honest, I don't think you see Jeff Petrie unless it's a worst case scenario. Someone goes down, and that's what he's there for, is insurance. But how could you not like what they did to bolster the depth of this team? They've given them options, and if you're not playing well, then I'm bringing this guy in, and you need to earn your job back, and that's a great problem to have here this time of year.
I think he did a very nice pivot because he couldn't get the number 1 center, and I don't think Trocheck is a number 1 center. I'll put that out there.
Okay.
So I think he did a nice pivot in saying, you know what? We've got enough scoring, and they do. And so next, you bring in the players that you mentioned. And I think there's a 3-step process to this when evaluating it. So I'm going to evaluate it from that perspective. You bring them in. Secondly, you get them acclimated to the team, to how they're going to play. The next step, and that's why if they lose a few here and there, it's not going to bother me too much. It's saying, asking or putting a plan together of how we're going to play in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And this is your role. This is your role. This is your role. Here's how we roll it out. And we go. And then that's when you are officially a team.
And the best part is they get 16, 17 games to ratchet it up. And that's the beauty, because they're not going anywhere. They're going to be facing off against the Dallas Stars.
And they have to figure out what that system is to be able to get them over that hump. and make them the toughest team in the league to play against.
Give us one more, Brett, because we do not want to make Mr. Kenny Albert wait.
Head coach John Hines was not happy with the effort against the Flyers. I wasn't really as red hot as he was. I thought they had chances to win the game. Yeah, they could have came out and stomped on them and put the game away and put it to bed earlier. I thought Wallstedt was good besides the shorthanded goal that absolutely needs to be saved 100 out of 100 times. But they had their chances. They were in the game. They get a point. I wasn't as mad about it. If it happens today, then I'll start to get upset. But how do you was he justified in his rage? I know Pat will say no.
I don't think he's justified in his. Maybe as the head coach of the team, he expects, maybe it was the effort. I didn't see the game. I was on the road. So maybe he wasn't happy with the effort or something.
Lack of attention to detail more than anything is how he explained it.
And I think that is, like, for the reason I just mentioned, and I'm not going to go through them again because we have to get to Kenny. And so I'm not, but maybe their standard is.
Here's the problem. They played so well against Tampa, Utah, Colorado, Vegas. I mean, they raise up to the level of competition, and their winning percentage against teams like that speak for itself. On the flip side of that, teams like the Philadelphia Flyers, who, had been playing some good hockey, they're not going to the postseason. Their record against teams with sub-0 500 records is not good, and it showed that night. It's the same thing against the St. Louis Blues out of the break. Same thing against the Flyers.
It's very hard to get yourself that motivation.
I get it. But the problem is they were outshot 9-2 in that first period.
Yeah.
Once they scored those 2 goals in the second by their 2 superstars, in Kaprizov and Boldy, you thought, okay, here we go. Then they give up the shorty in the third period, end up losing in the shootout.
Maybe this playoff system is the best thing that could happen to them then. Because guess what? They're going to either be playing Dallas or Colorado in the first 2
rounds.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe.
So you're playing,
You want to get motivated. Here's your chance. You got a best of 7 to beat one of the best teams in hockey. And they're saying the same thing about the Minnesota Wild.
There you go.
All right, quick little break, and then when we continue, the
Great
GOAT.
job, Bundesliga.
Yes, very nice work. Brett Blakemore.
I like Jack better. That aged better.
Kenny Albert is next on The Fan.
I'm Jonas Brodin of the Minnesota Wild, and you're listening to Falness and Micheletti on Beyond the Pond right here on The Fan.
That call.
Beautiful. I mean, just absolutely perfect.
And
everything about it.
Did he not nail it?
Of course he did. He always does.
Like he does every call.
That, of course, the voice of Kenny Albert on NBC Sports, calling all the action from Milan. The Americans are golden, and the guy behind the microphone was Kenny Albert, joining us now on Beyond the Pond. Kenny, that's Pat Micheletti. I'm Kevin Falness. Thanks for taking time here on a game day to join us on the radio.
Thanks for having me, guys. Hope you're doing well.
I'm assuming that you got in was it last night you played the Rangers? Was it?
Wild play the Rangers
Jets?
tonight.
No, I know the Jets.
Thursday.
Okay, Thursday. When'd you get in town, Kenny?
We got in about 1:30 in the morning after the Winnipeg game Thursday night, going into Friday morning. So about 36 hours ago.
Okay, so before we talk about your illustrious career in the Rangers, your father, I grew up watching the NBA also, right? And your father was, he might go down, no offense to you, as one of, the best broadcasters ever. I loved watching him. Is that what inspired you to become a broadcaster?
Oh, absolutely. There's not a time that I can remember when I wasn't listening and watching. As far back as I can remember, when I was about 5 or 6 years old, my parents gave me a tape recorder for my birthday, and they never said you have to do this. I was never forced, but I just always loved it. I would sit in my bedroom and announce games off the television into the tape recorder, and when I was old enough, I would start bringing it to games in the New York area and received a really big break in high school. I was doing a lot of sports writing and covering the basketball games, the football games, the baseball games. And when I was in 10th grade, a local cable station showed up at my school to film a girls' basketball game, and they had no announcers. So I volunteered and spoke to the producer the next day, and he gave me the opportunity over the next 3 years to call about 75 or 100 games.
Oh, my gosh.
I would bring friends along as color analysts, and I felt like at that point I had such a head start. These days, kids in high school have so many more opportunities with school programs and broadcasting camps, but back then that wasn't the case. But, yes, it all started very young when I would tag along and go to games and just learn via osmosis from him.
I have a loaded question for you, Kenny, because I think when it comes to hockey play-by-play, there isn't anyone better. I'm wondering which is your favorite sport to call, because I know there's going to be football fans out there that are going to say you're the best at football. I'm saying you're the best at hockey. I don't know. I'm sure your basketball is awesome. Everything you do is outstanding. So what's your favorite sport to call?
Well, I appreciate the kind words, and I've been so fortunate to be involved for over 30 years now in both hockey and football, and I've done a lot of baseball and basketball along the way. Football and hockey are the two that I'm most associated with and have done the longest. My goal when I was growing up was to do hockey on the radio. It was my favorite sport as a youngster. The others weren't very far behind. It was pretty close, but hockey was the goal, and I had an opportunity to do some fill-in work with the Islanders back in the late 80s and early 90s, and I used some of those tapes to send around, and my first full-time job was with the Baltimore Skipjacks of the American Hockey League in 1990. And my roommate on the road for 2 years was Barry Trotz. He was our assistant coach with the Skipjacks, and Joel Quenneville was on our team for a half season. So, around a lot of great people back then, and went on to Washington for 3 years, and now with the Rangers since 1995. And
unbelievable.
A lot of national work as well, and also very fortunate in 94 when Fox Sports took the NFC rights away from CBS after 30-plus years to be hired as part of a really young group, and 32 years later still at Fox. So, but hockey was always the goal. That was what I wanted to do, and was so lucky to get hired by the Skipjacks in 1990.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, as I jump in real quick, Pat, about Rangers TV now. You're the guy, right, for MSG, and you replace – that's not an easy task to jump in and replace the great Sam Rosen. And then right out the back door next to him goes Pat's brother Joe. So it's a whole new look on that TV broadcast.
Worked so many games with Joe through the years. As you know, Pat, he's one of my all-time favorites. We worked Olympics together. We worked NBC hockey together. We worked some MSG games together, not too many. But 29 years I was on the radio side and really loved every second of it. Had three great partners, Sal Messina, Brian Mullen, and then Dave Maloney for the last 20 years.
Right. And
Sam retired after last season, 40-year Hall of Fame career, one of the best ever. And then Joe retired as well. So Dave moved over with me to the TV side. Brian Boyle does some of the games as well, but we have such a great group at MSG, and I was so lucky to be part of the traveling party with Sam and Joe for the last 20 years, and I've known both even longer than that, and we definitely miss having them around, but we've seen Sam a bunch of times. He's been back to MC a lot of the Centennial nights when they honor the alumni, and just talked to Joe last week, but it was two great decades traveling with them as their colleagues, and the Rangers had a real good run during that time with 5 trips to the conference finals and the playoffs most of those years. So both Sam and Joe among my favorite people, and so lucky that I was part of that group with them for the last 20-plus years.
Hey, Kenny, part of being a play-by-play guy is, calling the game and all of that stuff, and all the work you put in. But talk about you do so many different sports, and you have so many different, and you've worked with so many different analysts. And I think sometimes people forget, as a play-by-play guy, every analyst is different, right? And knowing how they, like to analyze games and all that kind of stuff. Talk about how you go about working with one analyst one night and a different analyst the next night, or a different sport or whatever the case may be?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I might hold the record. I think I've worked with over 250 analysts in the various sports. Some of them for only one game, many of them for only one game, and others for 15 or 20 years. So,
right.
I like to. The first time I work with an analyst, I'll do a little research because I want to try and lead them into some stories, relevant stories about their careers, either as a player or a coach or a broadcaster. I think that's important to know as much as you can about your analysts and the career that they had. Joe and I were thrown right into the fire. The first time we worked together was back in Salt Lake during the 2002 Olympics, and I knew him. We were colleagues at Fox Sports and MSG as well, but never had worked together. And I think it was 23 games in 13 days in Salt Lake. So, we spent a lot of time together and got to know each other really well. This past Olympics, for example, with the men's and women's hockey, I worked 24 games in 18 days with a couple of different sets of analysts. I had Eddie Olczyk and Brian Boucher on the men's games, AJ Malesko on the women's, and then Jen Botterill joined us later in Milan. But I've been so lucky to work with some of the best, whether it was Joe Micheletti, did some games with John Davidson through the years, Eddie Olczyk, Brian Boucher, Keith Jones, so many others on the hockey side, too many to mention. Had the great opportunity to work about 30 or 40 baseball games with Tim McCarver, who in my opinion is the best of all time.
Oh my God, was he good?
Worked hundreds of basketball games with Walt Clyde Frazier in New York. And on the football side, again, too many to name, but, among my full-time partners have been the Hall of Famer Anthony Munoz, Hall of Famer Rondé Barber, the great combo of Darryl Johnston and Tony Siragusa, now Jonathan Vilma. But I've also worked several games through the years with guys like Troy Aikman, Joe Namath, Dan Fouts, other Hall of Famers. Worked one Sugar Bowl game with Terry Bradshaw and Howie Long. They brought them out of the studio. So so fortunate when I look back at some of the people that I've worked games with here in Minnesota. Got to work a baseball game with Paul Molitor at one point. Yeah. And I've run into him a bunch of times since then. Such a great guy. But Bert Blyleven, I worked a couple of games with Bert. So real lucky to have all those names that I mentioned and so many more on my list.
Right.
The voice of Kenny Albert joining us. He'll be in St. Paul today as the Wild take on the Rangers. Pregame at 4:45 right here on the Fan. Kenny, I mean, you just named all the great people that you've worked with. You've also worked some pretty cool events. And to say that something's at the top of your list has to be a real tall task. But I can't imagine it gets any better than being boots on the ground in Milan to see the Americans win gold, not once but twice, both the men and the women, and you were behind the microphone for both of those historic events. How much fun was that tournament? And then to get rewarded with calling a gold medal championship for the Americans just has to be a pinch me moment.
Oh, absolutely. And I wrote a book a couple of years ago and listed a lot of the top events that I've worked and certainly getting to work 3 Stanley Cup finals on the TV side, 7 or 8 on the radio side, many of those with Joe Micheletti on Westwood One. We did 5 or 6 Stanley Cups together. The Bautista home run is one that I get asked about often back in 2015. The Ovechkin record-breaking goal last year on Long Island. The Sugar Bowl that I mentioned with Howie Long and Terry Bradshaw, some NFL playoff games. The women's gold medal in 2018 in Pyeongchang, that's certainly up there. But this year, this moves right to the top of the list. The double USA-Canada gold medal games. And I've been asked a lot about it. I've done a lot of interviews. It was my 7th Winter Olympics, so it wasn't the first. And I had worked many gold medal games, 3 on the women's side, 2 on the men's side prior. But obviously the difference this year was, on the men's side, you had the NHL players back for the first time in 12 years. I worked the gold medal game in 2018, and then 2022 we were remote working out of Connecticut, and the NHL players weren't there either year, so it wasn't exactly the same. And then, on the women's side, it's a given pretty much that it will be the U.S. and Canada. 7 out of the 8 Olympics, it's been those 2 countries. So barring a major upset, we knew it would be the U.S. and Canada on the women's side. But on the men's side, look at the quarterfinal round day, that crazy day when 3 games went to overtime. the U.S. and Canada both went to overtime. They could have easily been eliminated, both teams. So it was not a given by any stretch of the imagination. Two players who are going to be on the ice tonight factored heavily in that quarterfinal, U.S. and Sweden. Mika Zibanejad of the Rangers scores the tying goal with a minute and a half left. And then Quinn Hughes wins it in overtime. So that went the U.S.'s way, and then Canada came back to beat Czechia. And once the matchup was set Friday when they both won their semis, obviously it was what a lot of us were hoping for, and it certainly more than lives up to the billing. And, from a broadcast standpoint, and I was just so overwhelmed with all of the texts and emails and tweets and articles that were written about our broadcasts after those games. And, I thought the entire crew was just tremendous. Raised their level.
Agreed.
AJ, Jen on the women's game, and then Eddie and Boosh, and we had Catherine Tappan, Mike Tirico. Everybody was just at the top of their game. But as you guys know as broadcasters, and I look at the three games as a whole, not just the men's gold medal game, the men's quarterfinal overtime game against Sweden, the women's gold medal game, and then the men's gold medal game. From a broadcast standpoint, if those games end 5-1, nobody really remembers the broadcast.
Right.
But because they went to overtime and had the dramatic endings, the abrupt endings with the overtime goals, so many more people are talking about the broadcast than if it were a 3-1, 4-1, 5-2 game.
100%. It just gets more people interested, which led up to that gold medal game, which was, and that, Kenny, to me, and I was trying to think, who's got the more pressure in this game? Is it Bill Guerin, because in the U.S. team, because, they lost in the Four Nations in overtime, or was it, Canada, because Canada has just been Canada for all these years, right? And so I just thought that was that just led up to what was a fabulous game, and the U.S. Coming out on top.
And it's so crazy when you think back, the Four Nations game. I wasn't there. I was watching on TV. Most people would agree the U.S. outplayed Canada in that
For sure,
game.
yes.
And Canada wins it in overtime. And there was no Quinn Hughes, no Matthew Tkachuk, and no Charlie McAvoy. So three key players are missing from the U.S. lineup. It was almost the reverse at the Olympics in the gold medal game. No Sidney Crosby, Morrissey. There was an illness running through the team. But Canada really rose to the occasion and outplayed the U.S.
They did.
And Connor Hellebuck stole the game. So both games could have gone either way. They were sort of carbon copies of each other, but in the opposite direction. And, the players just played their hearts out. We were up there broadcasting the game, and it just felt it was such a high level. It was the best of the best, an NHL All-Star game with probably 40 of the top 50 players in the league, because you do have players in other countries that would certainly be in that mix.
Correct.
And I remember early in the game, Brian Boucher saying he's down at ice level, that's the fastest game he's ever, witnessed from that close. So both could have gone either way. Obviously, there was pressure on both sides, and only one team could win, and the United States pulled it out.
Kenny, we've taken up way more than enough of your time, but we got to squeeze in a question about your beloved Blue Shirts. What is going on there? Last place in the Eastern Conference, and they're riding a 3-game win streak. What should the Wild and their fans expect tonight with the Wild and Rangers at Grand Casino Arena?
They've actually played really well since the Olympic break. They're 5-1-2, like you said, 3 straight wins. Early in the season, they had a lot of issues scoring goals, especially at home. They were playing well. The coaching staff was happy with how they were playing, but they just were snake bit. They couldn't score. They were shut out in 5 home games early in the season. Had the best road record in the league for a while. It was astounding, the differential, between the home and the road. And I know all teams have injuries, and you don't want to use it as an excuse, but there, 4 of their top players missed significant time. Vincent Trocheck missed 14 games right at the start of the season. He got hurt in the opener. And that kind of threw off, the balance, the lines. That was a big loss early on. And then JT Miller was injured in training camp, their captain, and he wasn't healthy for a good portion of the season. He played through it, battled through it. And then in January, for pretty much the entire month leading up to the Olympics, they had no Igor Shesterkin and no Adam Fox, arguably their top two players. They did trade Artemi Panarin, right before the break. They put out the letter. It's well documented. Chris Drury talking about the retool. But these last 8 games, Shesterkin's been back, and he's been great. And some of the young players, for fans going to the game tonight, the top line of Mika Zibanejad, Alexei Lafreniere, and Gabe Perreault, they've probably been, as a line, the best in the NHL since the Olympic break. You look at their numbers, Lafreniere's third in the league in goals, right at the top in points since the Olympic break. Gabe Perreault's a first-round pick out of Boston College. Zibanejad's had a terrific season. Adam Fox is back, so the power play's operating at a high level. Shesterkin's been terrific. So, yes, the first half of the season was definitely a disappointment, but I think the injuries did play a big part of it, and the way the team has played recently, this 3-game winning streak, 2 of them against teams battling for a playoff spot in Philadelphia and Winnipeg. Connor Hellebuck allows 6 goals at the Olympics in 5 games, and the Rangers scored 5 on him the other night. So they've been playing well, and obviously a step up in class with the opponent tonight. I've seen a lot of the Wild since the break, and I'm here for the entire weekend. The Rangers today, and then the TNT broadcast tomorrow against the Maple Leafs. I guess weather pending. We'll see what happens.
Right.
Certainly a fun team to watch, and I know the coaching staffs and management are really close. These two teams. You have Mike Sullivan, Chris Drury, David Quinn on the Rangers side, and, of course, John Hines on their staff at the Olympics, and a lot of them were together at Boston University, so there's a lot of crossover between these two teams, not only on the ice but behind the bench and up in the management booth.
I just got this in the text line. I asked this to another broadcaster earlier this season, and I got to ask you, we're against the clock, but I got to ask you about the Boys State High School Hockey Tournament, Kenny. It just wrapped up last weekend. Have you ever given any thought? And Jim Erickson does a great job. We've got great broadcasters that call these games, but I can't imagine anything better than having Kenny Albert call a Minnesota Boys State High School Hockey Tournament game.
Enough, Kevin.
He's busy enough, but would you consider that on your bucket list one day?
Well, I met Jim last week for the first time, and I don't want to take any work away from anybody. You guys are the experts, Jim and Pat and everybody else. As far as the history and all that, you guys are perfect. So I've heard a lot about it. Have never attended. Would love to someday. Did go to the Frost game last night. That was exciting. My first PWHL game here in Minnesota. Sat up in the press box. So. I've heard all the stories about the Micheletti and Perpich families. I just ran into John Perpich last week, so I've heard about the Hibbing Championship and the Gophers Championships, and I know you guys had the big celebration of the 76 team last week. So
yeah, we did.
Always a lot of fun to come here and look at the jerseys in the arena and some of the articles that are up on the walls. And, it's legendary, the high school tournament, and followed it from afar. And hopefully we'll get to at least attend someday.
Thanks for doing this, Kenny. Hopefully we helped you get your Micheletti fix for the day, and you can have a good call tonight.
You are the best, Kenny, and, we appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks, Kevin.
Right.
Love listening to you guys and checking it out, and always great to get a Micheletti fix. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Take care, Kenny.
There he is. In my mind, one of the greatest of all time. I mean, when you talk about the greatest in my lifetime, when you talk about hockey, it's Doc Emmerich, but he's knocking on the door. Yeah. I mean, Kenny is so much fun to listen to.
Kenny,
and he did such a great job.
You remember Dan Kelly from the but he's right up there. He's right up there with the best.
That was great. That was an honor. Always great to catch up with Kenny Albert. They're in the rink tonight. The Rangers taking on the Wild. Pregame at 4:45. Puck drops just after 5 o'clock on what could be a busy weekend of hockey in St. Paul, depending on what the weather says. Apparently, Russo put out a tweet that they're contemplating what's going to happen tomorrow because Toronto's still got to get in here after playing against Buffalo today. So will they be able to fly in? I guess that remains to be seen. But regardless, the Wild and Rangers will take place tonight, and it should be a blast. Also a blast last week in the Boys State High School Hockey Tournament. We'll recap it next on The Fan.
Hey, Wild fans, this is Marcus Foligno, and you're listening to the best hockey show on the planet, Beyond the Pond, right here on KFAN.
Change for the Spuds. Most change here for the Skippers. With the puck is Tate Hardiker from Minnetonka. It's poked off his stick. Moorhead takes over. Max Collin with a quick pass here up the right wing side. Here's Wander with a shot. He scores! Back to bat for the Spuds. Moorhead wins it in double overtime.
Halvey on the call already.
Pretty good. I can't believe you ripped him.
I did not rip him at all.
You just
I can't believe he fought through whatever he was dealing with.
How fair you were ripping him.
Halvey. No, I wasn't.
Brett.
No.
Brett.
No.
Just savages him.
Everybody knows I don't rip Halvey. He's like one of my sons.
Wow.
I have more pictures of him than I have of my actual sons.
You rip some of your sons.
That's
all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
So if he's one of your sons.
So anyway, it's awesome to hear Halvey on the call.
Halvey.
Can't believe it was
sick and all.
Already a week ago that the Boys State High School hockey tournament concluded.
I texted him,
Halvey? Halvey, you did?
Yeah, the next day, and I asked him if he did, and he says every year.
Of course he did. Well, good for him. He had a heck of a call, and it was a heck of a tournament for the Moorhead Spuds. Their head coach is John Ammerman. He joins us now on Beyond the Pond. Congrats again, John. Thanks for doing this, and congratulations on back-to-back for the Spuds.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Obviously, pretty fun week, and yeah, it doesn't get old listening to that call for sure.
Yeah, John, great to talk to you. Congratulations. Unbelievable. What a game. I want to know, John, what, you obviously you knew you had a great team and great players and all of that stuff, but and a great coaching staff also, by the way. It's not just you. Your staff is awfully good. So my question is, when you're down like that, what was the emotions inside of your head as you were making the comeback, or even more so when you were down?
And we should mention, John, too, to remind the audience, down 3-0 in the first, down 4-1 in the second. So this is a hell of a rally. What was the magic of the coaching staff to get them sparked?
Yeah, well, to be honest, my thoughts were who's going out next. We, in terms of just the makeup of our team, like you mentioned, we just had some outstanding hockey players, and really the makeup, if you were able to come back, we had the makeup to be able to do it. And one thing I guess I'm most impressed with, we knew we had skilled hockey players, but in a game like that, you learn a lot about your group and your kids, and so impressed with their resolve, their resiliency, and all those cliche words that you never really know what you have until guys' backs are up against the wall. And so impressed with them, so impressed with our coaches and the adjustments that they were able to make to get guys in positions to be successful. And then, especially in that third period, just a ton of big time players making the play at the right time. It was a heck of a lot of fun to be a part of and to watch from the bench.
John, momentum is such a big part of the game. And, when you lose it, it's horrible and it's tough to gain back. But once you gain that momentum back, was there a sense of feeling on the bench that was like, okay, we've turned it around, we're feeling it, they're now looking up at us like, how do we stop this train? What was that feeling like, or your sense that your players knew that they turned it around?
Yeah, great question. In the third period, not only on the bench but in the building, after that second goal on the power play, right before the TV timeout, you could feel it. You could sense the murmurs in the crowd and the buzz. But the period itself just played out perfectly. With TV timeouts, with a timeout in hand, we were able to manage that period. You needed one before the TV timeout. So we get one, we get a power play, everything had to work out perfectly, and it obviously did. But yeah, momentum is a funny thing, like you mentioned, especially in high school athletics. And the kids wrote it. They could sense it, they could feel it, and they made, 10, 15 big time plays at the right moments. And not only our players, but our goaltender. You know, he maybe doesn't have the start he wants, but he digs his heels in, and he was so good from the second period on and gave us a chance. That
was really my next question, and you know, I didn't follow you enough during the season to know if he was your number one guy all year or if they split or whatever the case may be. But, you know, he didn't have a great first period, okay? And that happens, right? I mean, it happens to everybody. Was there any thought just to maybe change things up or change that moment? You know, we see coaches do it all the time. You know, goalies don't have a good first period or whatever the case may be, and they get yanked. And sometimes it's done to get your team fired up, and sometimes it's for other reasons. But was there ever any thought of making a change after that first period?
To be honest, no, there wasn't. One thing about Will, and I guess I can back up. One thing about community hockey is you kind of have track records on guys, right? You know what you got coming up, and you know the character of kids. And one thing about Will is in the biggest moments, he's his best. And that showed. You know, there were a few things that happened in the first that didn't go our way, not only his way, but our team's way. And the group is just a bunch of winners, and Will's included in that. Our sophomore group has won at every level going up, and he's a quiet, confident kid. And you could feel that he was ready to go. So no, it wasn't something that was really even discussed, which might sound kind of crazy, but he was our guy, and I'm so happy that he was able to play the way he did.
Spuds head coach John Ammerman joining us, back-to-back champs. No easy task for sure. But from what I understand, you guys are still loaded, John. I'm not going to make you predict a three-peat, but how good are the projections for your squad going into next season? And believe me, I know we're only a week done with the state tournament, so really early to start talking about next fall, but I'm going to anyway. What are the projections for the Spuds?
Yeah, and that's the fun part about it too, right? Is speculating and thinking about it. But with the dynamics of hockey right now, we don't know. We don't know who's going to be on our team next year. We have a ton of guys that'll have decisions and opportunities to make, and really our biggest goal here now in the next 9 months is to show them and do our best to sell them on that they can develop here, right? And guys are going to have opportunities. We do have a ton of talent in youth hockey and a bunch of guys that will return. But yeah, right now we're going to enjoy it.
As you should.
It's so hard to get to St. Paul, and if you do, we might have a chance.
All right. Well, good luck this offseason. Congrats on back-to-back championships, and we look forward to crossing paths with you again very soon.
All right, thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks, John.
John Ammerman, the head coach for the Moorhead Spuds. That was the nightcap on Championship Saturday.
Do you think they're talking three-peat in Moorhead right now?
I think they are, but like he says, it's never easy. And you need no further explanation how hard it is to get back there, let alone to put back-to-back, let alone back.
Championships are hard to win, Kevin.
They are very difficult, and I wasn't going to make him predict a three-peat, but...
You were close.
I think from what I understand, they're still loaded for next year. And I'll tell you, a team that was loaded this year, the Warroad Warriors.
Ryan Shagabe! Mooney with the overtime winner! 1 minute into overtime, and for the first time since 2005, the Warroad Warriors are state champs.
Yeah,
and
they got it done.
A complete shot at my high school.
Not at all.
Thank you very much.
I'll tell you, the guy that was taking a shot at your former high school, Jay Hardwick, the head coach of the Warroad Warriors, he said he wanted to come on.
I don't even know I wanted to. I don't even know. No.
Jay, I know this is going to be contentious. Hibbing alum Pat Micheletti talked to the head coach for the Warroad Warriors. State A champs, they took down the Blue Jackets in stunning fashion in the championship game. Just a fun hockey game, Jay. All seriousness and all jokes aside, what a hockey game and what a day for the Warriors.
It was. You know, it's still hard. I've watched the game probably a couple times since I've gotten home, and it's it doesn't even feel real. And it was that was a game for the ages, and unfortunately for Pat and Hibbing, somebody's got to lose that game, and I've been on the other side of that, and I know how it feels. But I talked to Aaron a little bit earlier this week, and I just told him again that they had nothing to hang their heads on, and they should be proud because they had a heck of a hockey team. And you get into overtime in a state championship, it basically turns into a coin flip.
It was such a good hockey game.
Instant classic.
The chances on, for both teams and the goaltending. I want to talk about your goaltender who was the backup, right? I mean, he was he would not have played in the tournament. And your number one guy goes down. I remember on the call talking about it. And he may have been the MVP of the whole tournament. He was fabulous the whole tournament.
He was. He was, and it was spectacular.
and to me, it was like, bring it on. I'm the guy. It wasn't like a guy like scared going into it. That's what was the beauty of it. I mean, he made save after save. And I'm not just talking the championship game. The previous two. I don't know. That shows a lot of. I don't know what the word moxie is. That the word I'm looking for?
Cojones is the word that Pereira would use.
Yeah. You can. Yeah, you use that word. Am I right? I mean, talk about this kid. Yeah.
I don't think he gets nervous. He just, when it's his turn to play, he's like, okay, I'm stepping in. I know the team needs me, and I think when Finn went down in the section championship, it was we said, Patrick, you're in, and he said, all right, I'm going, and the boys really, we had a big senior class, and the boys, they're a close knit group, and they knew the situation, and they were excited for him, and they were like, okay, we're going to go and play. We're going to play hard in front of him because we know he's going to play hard back there for us, and it ended up, working out, and you can't write things better than that in the storybook.
5th title in school history, but I mean, for the casual fan, they see the big bad Warroad Warriors. They're back at it again. They're bullying their way through the state tournament. It had been 2 decades since you guys had won that championship, but I did see a cool picture of you holding the trophy from 1996 along with the one from 2026. I know that as a coach, you're going to put it all on the players. Great job by them. But this has been quite the road for you as well, Jay. How cool was it to have this, full circle moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's what as a coach and a player, it's what you strive for every year to win a state championship. And, I was fortunate to do it my sophomore year of high school in '96. And then now as a coach, I can tell you it's a lot harder as a coach. At least I think it is. When I was playing, it was just, that's the easy part. You go out and you play hockey, and you're just a dumb young kid playing the game. And as a coach, there's a lot more that goes into it, and a lot more stress. And then you don't get to touch the ice either. You're just trying to do the best you can to get the kids to play the best they can. And, but it does feel really good. And it's been a lot of years, a lot of hard work, and, not just myself, but our entire staff. They do a tremendous job, and for us to bring another one home, it feels really good.
Hey, Jay, I have a question for you. You played Hibbing during the year, and you lost to them. Am I correct on that?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So when you play them then in the championship game, how much did you go back to that game and make adjustments for the championship game? Or did that really matter? Because maybe that you're a different team now, or Hibbing is a different team now. How much of that goes into preparing for playing that same team again?
A little bit. The biggest thing I had watched that game from during the season when we had lost to them a couple times, and the biggest takeaway I took from that game was I didn't think we were at our best that game. We got down early. They scored, I think, a minute or two into the game, and it just kind of felt like we were chasing them the rest of the game. We'd get it within a goal, and then they'd score again, and we'd get it within a goal again. And it never felt like we were ever that first game. It never felt like we were in control at times. And that was kind of my evaluation, is that we needed to play better than we did that time.
Mm-hmm.
And fortunately, by the time we were at the state tournament, we were a different team and we were playing better than we did, previously. So I felt good. I knew, obviously Hibbing was a heck of a hockey team, and, they've got some players that are hard to contain there. And, so I knew it was going to be a tall task. I knew our goaltending was going to have to be good. Our defensemen were going to have to be good. And then when we got opportunities, we were going to have to score. And that was another thing. I thought when we played them earlier in the year that their goaltending was outstanding. He made some really good saves that kind of kept us out of reach. So, it wasn't necessarily any strategy, but it was just we needed to be better, and fortunately we were.
Last thing, you talked about the emotions for you and your team. What's been the reception like back in Hockeytown as you pulled that bus back into Warroad? What was it like on whether it was Saturday night, Sunday morning, or even the week that has followed? Anytime you go, I'm hoping you haven't had to buy a beer in the last 7 days there in the in the friendly confines of Warroad.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I know we got into town on Sunday afternoon, and the fire trucks and police and the ambulance and everything, they were waiting for us about a mile outside of town, and we pulled into town, and we kind of did a loop around town, and then we pulled into the arena, and the place was packed. I could even hear the kids going, geez, look at all the people here. And
so cool.
We pull into the front of the rink, and there's probably, I don't know how many, 300, 400, 500 people standing outside the rink, waiting for us to come in. And so, yeah, it's been an awesome reception. And then now this week I've been trying to, come down to earth and get back to, real life again. But it's been fun. Wherever I go, there's, people are giving me hugs and handshakes and congratulations. So it means a lot to not only the team, but just the entire community. And it's just been great to bring that title back again and see the happiness on everyone's face.
Well, seriously, really happy for you and your team. And it was a great win. It was a great game. And we move on to next year, right, Jay?
Congrats, Jay. That was a heck of a tournament, a wonderful hockey game, and congrats on the victory.
Thank you very much.
All right,
there you go.
Care.
Jay Hardwick, the head coach for the Warroad Warriors. They are champs. Talked to John Ammerman right before that. The champs of AA. Congratulations. The tourney 26 is officially in the books. When we continue, we got to squeeze in our youth hockey update from Tony Scott. Plus, we got Schloss before we wrap the show up and get you an update on what's going on in the conference tournaments in college hockey. All that and more coming your way next on Beyond the Pond.
This is Wild GM Bill Guerin, and you're listening to Falness and Micheletti on Beyond the Pond on KFAN.
All right, a quick segment here with Tony Scott for our weekly journey into youth hockey and the Youth Hockey Hub.
Have you been on his podcast yet?
I have, actually.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. You haven't?
Well, never been invited.
That's too bad. Tony Scott has taste when he puts together his podcast.
Maybe in the next couple of years.
Maybe not. Tony, how you doing, buddy? I want to talk.
On the air?
We are on the air.
Oh my God! Oh no!
Definitely want to talk about youth hockey and what's going on. We just had both of the head coaches on from the A and AA champs. Break down your synopsis of what I thought was a wonderful Boys State High School hockey tournament this past weekend.
Yeah, on our podcast that Pat hasn't been on yet, we talked about the fact that that might have been the best Saturday you'll ever witness in the state hockey tournament.
It was awesome, wasn't it?
Ending in the last, teams tying in the last minute and then winning. Did you know that that's the largest lead ever given up by a state runner-up in a state championship game?
I did not know that. No, that's good information.
Yeah, that was a crazy fact that came out in our podcast last Sunday that Pat's never been on.
I hate to say it's the best ever because, recency bias plays into it. But, man, the drama and the intrigue, especially from Friday on, and both games going to overtime on Saturday, I just don't know how you beat that. It was amazing, and it's hard to believe we got to wait 300 and some days and to do it all over again.
We had a double overtime one in 2011 with Duluth East winning and St. Thomas Academy. But when St. Thomas Academy wins, is anybody really happy? Right?
Yeah, right.
Tony, I got to ask you something.
That's a joke.
I know.
I have to ask you something, and it's controversial. And
all right.
But it's something that really bothered me, and maybe it didn't bother a lot of people, but it bothered me, and I was disappointed in the Minnetonka program. I think a lot of media, and we always clamor for media when we don't get it. Right. And I really thought it was in poor taste. Is that the word I want to use? To not go and speak to the media after the game. I know it's emotional. No one likes to lose. Losing sucks. Some teams, that's why you play. One team wins, one team loses. But at the high school level, where we're trying to shape lives and all of the good things that happened. And I wanted your thoughts on it.
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Pat, because we did talk about it ad nauseum on the podcast you've never been on yet. Mm-hmm. And one of the things was the teaching moment, or life is hard. Yep. And this is going to be a hard thing to go up there and stand and stare down the media. But the other thing is, we wrote about it. Peter from our staff made a really nice tweet about them missing the press conference and the kids taking their medals off. And I thought Peter did a really nice job of framing hey, the media doesn't want to skewer these kids. They don't want to skewer the coaching staff. They want to actually hear the good stuff about the team and write a really positive story about that. It's not always negative. And it wouldn't have been a negative experience for Sean and the crew from Minnetonka in that situation.
Yeah, it's too bad. It is definitely a bad look, and hopefully both sides have learned from it. So we got to put the high school hockey tournament to bed. What's going on? Just because the tournament's over doesn't mean the season's over for youth hockey. What's going on in your world these days to keep you busy? You said you're on your way to Mankato?
Yeah, I'm in Mankato now. We're covering all 10 youth hockey tournaments throughout the state. They're in 9 locations this year. That means we have 9 photographers, 9 staff members at all of those places, stretching from Badette up in Roseau, Mankato I'm at, Peters and Sartell. They're all over the state covering these state tournaments. It's a fun time of year for us. And there's great tournaments going on in all of them, especially Pee Wee AA and Bantam AA.
Be careful. Coming home tonight. I know Kevin.
I'm not coming home tonight. I'm actually going to go to that CCHA game, which Schlossman will be talking about later. Between Michigan Tech and Minnesota State. So I'll be at that one.
I was planning on being in Mankato tonight for the game. However, now I'm going to St. Thomas because it's 10 minutes from my house, and I don't have to worry. See, Kevin would,
If there's a game, I'm going to St. Paul tomorrow. It doesn't matter. I will get there.
If there's 14 feet of snow.
I have to. I will get there. I've dealt with it before. I've come home in some awful driving conditions. It's not my favorite thing, but the show must go on.
Anyway, Tony, just be careful, and your crew also that is all around the state. Be careful.
They'll be safe. Here, I'll tell you a story. Maybe we won't talk about the tournament. This will sum up youth hockey in Minnesota.
Okay.
It was about 4 years ago. We're hosting a tournament in Blaine, and we got 22 inches of snow between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. We had teams from all over the state. That day, we did not have one game missed or one team late to the game. One team missed 22 inches in 12 hours. We're a very hardy bunch. We know how to travel in the snow in this state. we'll be able to get there. Just like our staff, the players will make it from all over the state. I'm confident of that.
YouthHockeyHub.com. I go there. What will I find, especially this week, as you put a cap on the AA Bantam and Pee Wee tournaments?
If you follow us on Twitter, now called X, you're going to find a period score from every state tournament, whether we're in Roseau, Baudette, Faribault, Mankato, Sartell, Minnetonka, you name it. We'll be there today covering you from cover to cover every game, and you'll find every score from today's games at boys and girls from all over the state.
And
Awesome.
maybe you'll find someone to join your podcast next week.
I say dig in your heels at this point now. Don't put them on. Dig your heels in.
Pat's going to be on.
Yeah, well,
it's just not the best time right now. He'll be on for sure.
Hey, you know what they call that?
I think they'll be like
bottom of the notebook.
Pat, you'll get a kick out of this.
Yeah, I get a kick out of everything you say.
The before NHL years and the after NHL years. I might have to do that with you too.
In July when it's slow.
After college, because it should be fascinating.
Maybe in July when it's slow.
Oh, it's always great to talk to you, Tony. Always great to talk to you, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you. Have a great day, Tony.
Yeah, Tony Scott out amongst the people in Mankato. He's got a great bunch of stuff going on, and you can find it all YouthHockeyHub.com. Find him on Twitter at YouthHockeyHub.
Wow.
Yeah, he does a great job, and they've been everywhere.
I mean, just giving me the Heisman.
I would take it personally if it were me. I mean, I don't want to stir the pot here. That's just not in my makeup. We got to take a break. I want to get into some college hockey. The semifinals and all those conferences are going on. So the Schloss will give us the update next on Beyond the Pond. I feel like this has been a long time coming. One of the staples on Beyond the Pond, amongst all our staples.
And you haven't wanted him on.
Are the Schloss. Believe me, it's never that I never want to have him on. I always, if I could do it, he'd replace you. He'd be the regular co-host on Beyond the Pond. That's not up to me.
Wow.
That's how much I love the Schloss. I'm not looking to replace you, but the Schloss is so good. But we haven't had him on. I think it's been since December. You didn't like that, did you?
Well, I didn't like it because, I what they call a fib.
Yeah.
A lie.
Yeah.
Because I think I've wanted him on like every week since December.
We've been so slammed. I mean, and it's been great stuff. I mean, look at our guest lineup, and that's not a shot at the Schloss. I know it came out as wrong, Schloss, but now we get the opportunity to get into the college hockey scene, and that's what we're doing here. To end the show, we get the Brad Schlossman.
Perfect time for it. It's starting to get exciting now.
It really is. We got a bunch of conference tournaments going on. It sounds like the Micheletti clan is going to go watch the CCHA in action with. You guys are going to St. Thomas against Augustana, right?
The plans changed because of the Snowami.
Yeah.
That's coming today that you're not afraid of.
I'm not afraid of it.
I'll be at Lee and Penny Anderson Arena.
Around the University of St. Thomas campus. That's a 4:07 face-off. Later on tonight, Minnesota State taking on Michigan Tech. Why don't we start there, Brad, in the CCHA? How'd you see things go down? The wonderful season for the Tommies, for sure.
Yeah, these are just massive games on a national scene, too. These are all bubble teams that can really shape how the entire tournament bracket is formed. And right now, St. Thomas has got to win this game to get into the tournament. You're right. They've had a great season. Augustana's had a great season, too. If Augie wins this game, I think the Vikings are looking pretty good for an NCAA tournament bid. If Augie loses this game, now all of a sudden it's real nervous territory for the Vikings. And they would love to be in the tournament. They would love to potentially even be playing in their hometown because Sioux Falls hosts a regional. And then the other side, you've got two teams that are big-time threats to win the tournament. Michigan Tech's had a phenomenal year. Minnesota State seems to keep doing it. Found a way to win. These are four teams who all went into the last night of the regular season with a chance to win the McNaughton Cup. I think that's going to be fascinating, and I really think whoever advances into this tournament, whether it's one team, whether it's two teams, that's a scary first-round matchup for someone because those teams have great goaltending. They defend so well. They're going to play a low-scoring game, and they could cause some havoc in the tournament.
Yeah, especially against a skilled team and there are many at the top that are highly skilled who don't like to play that style or have a difficult time adjusting to that style. Okay, let's move on. We saw a couple upsets last night. Now they're best of 3 series. Mm-hmm. However, Quinnipiac loses and Cornell loses last night. That could have national implications should those two teams end up losing the series.
Yeah, we've got a lot of bubble teams that are getting a little nervous about those results. Of course, they have to come back and do it again. But Clarkson looks really good last night against Quinnipiac. I am not sure if they'll be able to repeat that type of
shut them out, didn't they?
Man, they were impressive.
Yeah.
Well, Dartmouth beat Colgate. So if those results hold, if Harvard wins one of the next 2, if Clarkson wins one of the next 2, you're going to have a lot of Dartmouth fans sitting on the bubble to win that ECAC tournament. Otherwise, that's just going to be another ECAC team in and another at-large team out. So that was not a great night for the team sitting on the bubble.
Dartmouth is in, right? I mean, are they pretty secure, or are they on one of those bubble teams?
Dartmouth's good. So everyone wants Dartmouth to win that tournament.
Okay, gotcha.
I think Cornell and Quinnipiac are good too. So those are the 3 you want to win. If you're a bubble team like in Augustana or a St. Thomas, a UConn, a UMass, those teams are really cheering for those squads. And 2 of the 3 lost in Game 1 last night.
So is Hockey East still, as of right now, a 1-team bid, or where are we at with that?
Yeah, right now in Hockey East, Providence is a lock. I think Providence is very likely going to end up being a 2 seed. The team that's really climbed big time in the second half is UMass. UMass is at 14. UConn is at 15. And both those teams have massive games coming up right now. UConn's about to host BU. That game starts at noon. And then UMass, Michael Frabel's just been absolutely on fire. You guys will hear his name at the NHL level. Big boy.
Yes.
He's huge. He's phenomenal. And they play Northeastern at 3 p.m. today. So if either of those teams lose, I mean, they're in really uncomfortable spots. Hockey East could get 3 in. It could be 1.
Talking to Brad Schlossman from the Grand Forks Herald, our staple on the Beyond the Pond program. You can find him on Twitter or X at Schlossman GF, SCHLOSSMAN GF. In the NCHC, I see the Bulldogs are still alive in that tournament. A couple of 6 o'clock faceoffs. One of them coming up at the Ralph, where I assume you will be. The Bulldogs taking on North Dakota. And then at Magnus Arena, you got Western Michigan taking on DU. Seems like all 4 of those are locked into a postseason berth with the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, in the NCHC, we've just got 2 really good hockey games between 4 teams that are all ranked in the top 8 right now in the MPI. But from a national perspective, no one's really watching this because they're all in the tournament. But it should be really, really entertaining hockey games. This is the first time the NCHC has hosted the semifinals at home sites.
Yep.
I'm used to being down in your studio this week.
Yep, we miss you.
And doing the radio show from there. But this is all at home sites now, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. The championship games next weekend, but all 4 of these teams safely into the NCAA tournament, and probably all 4 will be top 2 seeds. I think North Dakota and Western are looking pretty strong as number 1 seeds. I think Minnesota, Duluth, and Denver probably good possibility those 2 are going to be number 2 seeds.
We got about 3 minutes, Patrick. Go ahead.
Well, Schloss, as we were talking yesterday, if we were to handicap this tournament, we can't. I mean, there are a number of teams that could win it. I mean, they're really, to me, and I think to you, there really isn't a favorite for the Frozen Four this year.
Yeah, I just look at the bubble and I see a lot of really good teams. I see teams that are 4 seeds that are going to be really tough outs. You know, I see Boston College sitting out of the tournament right now.
Right.
And that's a really, really talented Boston College team. So if BC loses in the Hockey East semifinal game next week, that's it for the Eagles. And that's kind of hard to wrap your head around with how good Boston College has been in the second half of the season. So I agree with you 100%. I look up and down the teams that are going to make the tournament. You know, there will be some favorites, but they're really not that big of favorites. You know, if you're making the odds, these are not massive favorites at all.
All right. Well, we got to get going, but per our conversation yesterday, even if the Fighting Hawks do not make it to Las Vegas, you better find a way to get there and find me. Got it?
It sounds like it's going to be a heck of a tournament down there. I have no idea what 4 teams are going to be there, but I think fans are going to very much enjoy.
Yeah, but you got to be there. Are you going to be there? That's my question.
I'll find a way. All
right.
Maybe Pat will
I was just going to say, maybe Kevin will.
There you go.
You know, Kevin,
maybe.
Kevin needs to make it up for you for giving you the Heisman.
Listen, Schloss is going to be on with us a lot between now and the end of the show, whenever that is. So I think he's going to get enough of us for sure. Schloss, thanks for doing this today. Maybe we'll talk again next week.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Brad.
Brad Schlossman of the Grand Forks Herald. Always wonderful contributions. Kind of sets the stage for the national scene on college hockey. You still got the Bulldogs alive.
Yeah.
You got Minnesota State, St. Thomas.
He knows, like, ask him about Sacred Heart. He'll tell you, what's going on in the Atlantic Conference.
He knows everything that's going on. I know you're going to be at the St. Thomas Augustana game
this
week.
I'm looking forward to it.
What did you say you have going on next weekend?
Next week, I will be doing the CCHA championship game.
Awesome.
In one of 3 places.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be in Augustana, St. Thomas, or back in Mankato. Ben Holden and I will be on the call for that, and that'll be fun.
Outstanding. Meanwhile, tonight, the Minnesota Wild taking on the New York Rangers. Amongst everything else, we haven't even had a chance to get into this today.
We didn't even talk about the Wild.
1,000 games for the captain of the Minnesota Wild, Jared Spurgeon. Celebrating that tonight. I think if you saw Jared Spurgeon 15 years ago today, the 2010, I think he made his Minnesota Wild debut.
Listen, I remember Brandon Molesky, our good friend. He and I were hosting a show at the Mall of America when he was a rookie. And I'm like, Jared Spurgeon's coming up on stage. I'm like, okay, where is he?
Even to this day, he looks like a high schooler.
The same.
Yeah, very much. And to think that he's got a 16-year-old kid and 2 other ones besides that.
Congratulations to Mr. Spurgeon.
We are going to salute that tonight. 4:45 pregame, puck drops just after 5 o'clock. The Micheletti clan, thank you very much. Pat, Alex, thanks for coming in.
Put the chains on your tires.
Yeah, be ready. It's the Snowmageddon coming to the Twin Cities, so look out. Good luck there, Patrick.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
That is Pat Micheletti. Brett Blakemore, great job as always. Good luck with sermons tomorrow.
We'll see you there.
You still nervous? You scared?
Why don't you can walk over and do it yourself?
Suck it up, bro. Suck it up. It's the state of hockey. We deal with weather. We can handle it. Yeah. And so can everyone else across the metro. For Brett Blakemore and Pat Micheletti, I'm Kevin Falness. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay warm, and go wild.
For an extraordinary advantage in sports, you need a game plan. For an extraordinary advantage everywhere else, all you need is Acrisure. With a high-tech human approach to insurance, cybersecurity, and more, Acrisure helps you take care of what you care about. That makes winning easy. See what Acrisure's extraordinary advantage can do for you at Acrisure.com.